Welcome to Valley News Now. I'm Adam Shalafu. As our convention coverage continuing from Chicago, Ethan Kramer joining us from the United Center at the Democratic National Convention. Ethan, looking sharp, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, buddy. Yeah, day 4 here of the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago. We are expected to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris tonight, as she will accept the nomination to be the next president, the nominee on the Democratic side.
And it's been just a very entertaining few nights. One of the things big in standouts for me, just from an entertainment standpoint, is the musical performances. Pharrell, a lot of people, not just last night, but what's the musical performances been like? You kind of been getting some free concerts out of this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was kind of the same way at the Republican National Convention, but the same exact way. You get people performing. But Pharrell Williams took the stage last night, kind of fired the crowd up right before Senator Klobuchar from Minnesota went on stage. And so she kind of fired the crowd up right before, just in that last little part before Minnesota Governor Walz went up there. But people have been able to get those free concerts here, as well as getting to see some of the biggest political figures in the world speak.
And you mentioned Tim Walz. They're starting to call him Coach Walz, and a rousing speech last night. Tell me about his message and about just kind of the Coach Walz aspect, as he seems to be a motivational figure for the party right now.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, that Coach Walz, slogan, now that's what they're calling him, that was actually, there were signs. I mean, if people were watching his speech last night, people were holding signs up, delegates in the crowd were holding Coach Walz signs up all throughout the night during his speech. I this morning, talking with delegates at the North Dakota delegation breakfast, where they had a multitude of speakers, but one thing they kept calling him, speakers did, was Coach Walz, and you finally got to see that on the national stage. But Adam, to answer your question about what kind of he talked about in his speech, he did bring up a few things about his accomplishments while as the governor of Minnesota. He talked about the free school lunch program that he has instilled, and reproductive rights in Minnesota. I mean, he also thanked Harris for choosing him as her running mate, and then he also went and thanked President Biden for his years of service to the country in politics. And then, I mean, he also went along the lines of, he attacked, just for a little bit, he attacked the Vance and Trump ticket by saying, going on about the dangers of putting Trump and Vance in the White House, especially going on the notion of putting Trump back in the White House, and how scary he thought that was for America if the public was to vote him back into office. He then went on praising his running mate, Harris. He went for what she'll do to the country if she is elected, and how they will lower prices. He talked about lowering prices in the grocery store, lowering prices at the pump, and cutting taxes. Those are some main points. I mean, it's been the notion it was a short speech, but I mean, to when I've talked to delegates, even right after his speech, it kind of kept them wanting more. And that if you're a Democrat, that's a real good sign if you're really wanting to hear a lot more.
And it's been a lot of Chicago celebrities. It feels like one of the biggest Chicago celebrities, somebody who could be the unofficial mayor, if you will, as a former resident of Chicago, is Oprah Winfrey. And she's made her presence felt as well. Tell me what's it been like with Big O.
Yeah, no, she, was a surprise speaker last night, but, when she's a very, powerful speaker, so, it resonated with the room a lot. She had very good energy during her speech. The crowd was responding to her well, standing up, applauding things she said as she, touted the Harris-Walz ticket. She I mean, she's about as famous as they get from that talk show back in the day. And I even, talking with other reporters, they just kept talking about, how she used to say, "You get a house," and that's the energy that she had last night on the convention stage. And I think that's what, delegates and the American people, like to hear. She even, Adam talks about, how she's a registered independent, and along those lines of, that she, even though she's registered independent, she thought that they don't need to go backwards by electing, as they said, electing Trump, and they think they need to go forward with the future with Harris and Walz.
Ethan, what other noteworthy speakers or speeches have been at play here?
Yeah, one talking point I should say this morning, listening to delegates, is like they actually brought up what are some speakers that were very powerful, that are young in the Democratic Party. Wes Moore, who is the governor of Maryland, was a very powerful speech. Him being a young young Democrat in the party. And then also you heard from the former president, Bill Clinton, last night. His speech went on for a little while, but that, people have heard him before, but they always say his speech resonates well with the American people. They also heard, from Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation. He's a young guy, and he's a young face in this party, and he got a lot of applause. The crowd was really intrigued with what he had to say because, he is a part of this future of the Democratic Party, Adam.
And I know you've seen a handful of local, regional politicians from this neck of the woods. Who have you had conversations with?
Yeah, no, we've been able to talk with quite a few local North Dakota delegates. I mean, this morning it was a headliner list, you should say, to say the least, at the North Dakota delegation, as they are, I should say, North Dakota and Oklahoma delegation breakfast. There was, we started off with a plethora of great speakers there. We heard from Senator Elizabeth Warren. We heard from Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. There was a lot of great speakers tonight. We also caught up with a couple North Dakota delegates along those lines, just kind of getting their feel for what they thought of those speeches. I should tell you, Elizabeth Warren went in there. It wasn't really a speech about the Walz-Harris ticket. It was more about, how proud they said they are to be Democrats, and the future that they want is with a big point that they made, I should say, is they kept saying that, look at the Republican ticket. It's, in their words, a convicted felon at the top, and an venture capitalist with J.D. Vance, and then on their side you have a public school teacher and a prosecutor. So that was kind of a couple of the main points this morning, because it's the last day. They're trying to address, hey, this is why you should vote for this ticket, and I think they hit it on the nail for them. As we saw after, Adam, I should note, even though this was a question you asked me, I should add it on that after the Republican National Convention, you did see a bit of a points boost towards Trump and Vance, and you're definitely going to see that here after the Democratic National Convention, because if Harris hits her speech out of the park, they're going to be having some really good momentum now we're 75 days away until the election.
Ethan, I know you've touched on this in a handful of the questions I've already asked you, but I just want to ask one more time, point blank range here. What have some of the biggest messages been?
Yeah, no, Adam, that's a great question. A lot of the messages, the biggest message I would say is, like I said it just a little bit ago, but was that they want the country to go forward, not backwards. And that's the biggest message that has been in unity, coming together. They think that if Trump and Vance were to win, they're going to set the country backwards, when they think that with a Harris-Walz ticket, that'll set the country forward. That's been a huge message that they're excited about. There's a lot of praise for this ticket now. I think that's been one of the big messages, that there's just a lot of question marks around Walz coming into this. We know locally about Governor Tim Walz, but a lot of places, even speaking with delegates after the speech, they literally told me, I didn't even know who he was when Harris when Harris picked him. So, their message now has been kind of, even Walz touched upon it last night, is, a unity. Let's set the country, as they're saying, let's set the country forward and let's not go back.
Ethan, you guys are doing great work down there. How's the food been? I know you had deep dish a few nights ago. What have you guys been eating lately?
Well, Adam, I got to tell you, it's been a pretty hectic, I should say, let's say 10 hours. I'm running on about 5 hours of sleep, because we got back pretty late after Walz's speech. The food, it's been pretty good. We have some good stands over here. Been able to dive into a couple of more slices of pizza also. But, we haven't had a lot of options that, because we've just spent so much time here. But, I will say, I'm left with a great impression of the pizza I had on night one, another long night here tonight. But me and Bobby are really excited to do it and bring our viewers coverage from the Democratic National Convention.
Ethan, I'm not letting you back in the building unless you have a Chicago-style hot dog, everything on there. I know Bobby doesn't like tomatoes. That's not going to fly. He's going to have one too.
Hey, listen, I actually did. I should say that I did have a Chicago-style hot dog yesterday. It's one of the big food trucks here. I actually did ask for a Chicago-style hot dog, even though you do say that. It was good. I will give it to you. I know you're from Chicago, so I will give you your points when it's due.
I'll take it. We'll break that down further when you get back to town. What else have you guys been working on? What's coming up tonight?
We will. Yeah, no, Adam, great question. No, tonight we're gonna, I'll have a story at 6 p.m. tonight about, what people's thoughts were on Walz last night, the excitement that he brought, as well as tonight, and what delegates and the American people should be looking forward to hearing from Harris, and then adding on about what the future looks like now with 75 days to go and what the final steps need to be for them to get this done if they want to win the election in November.
Thank you very much, Ethan. That's Ethan Kramer live down at the United Center. Him and Bobby Felt doing a great job on team coverage for Valley News Live, reporting from the Democratic National Convention. Stay with us all day. Another live hit with Bobby Felt coming up around 3 p.m. Continued coverage in all our shows throughout the day. Until then, Adam Shalafu with Ethan Kramer. Ethan, thank you. We'll see you next time. We'll see you all watching on your phone, on your computer, however you're consuming Valley News now. We'll see you soon.